And speaking of another adult in the room in Washington, D.C., I think it's also important that we recognize that it's Jimmy Carter's 99th birthday. Yes, it is Jimmy Carter's 99th birthday. And he's a great example of ethical leadership. Now, I know late 1970s, another era of inflation, and we had issues with Iran and hostages. I was back in an era when airplanes were constantly being hijacked. And he wasn't necessarily the most inspiring leader. He was a quiet, former peanut farmer from the state of Georgia who uh, was very soft spoken, did not have the glamour that Ronald Reagan brought to the stage. But I think we can all agree that he was an ethical leader. Um, you know, in many ways, he's probably been the best post president leader of all living presidents. We can look at Habitat for Humanity as an example of that. He turned his attention in his post presidency to helping the homeless, helping the unhoused to afford places to live. And I remember growing up watching video of him, installing a roof of a house that was under construction. So I think we can all agree that his post president, he was probably demonstrated the most ethics in his post presidency. Certainly more so than Bill Clinton. I mean, I can't really speak to what Bill Clinton has done in his post presidency too much. I mean, George W. Bush apparently paints stuff in his garage, and Obama's starting his foundation, but again, doesn't seem to be doing too much except when they call him out to do some campaigning. But Jimmy Carter was actually out there. And it's been 7 months since he went into hospice, and that guy is still kicking. And it's been pointed out that hospice is often misinterpreted. It's not just a place that people go when they're on the brink of death and their days within dying. Some people go into hospice much earlier than that to soothe the pain that they're experiencing as they're preparing to depart. And his wife, Rosalind, is suffering from dementia. This week, they were also seen at an appearance, a drive-by appearance, albeit at a peanut festival in Plains, Georgia, where they live. And I think that's nice to see that they're at least able to get out, even though Rosalind's not fully there. And Jimmy Carter, we don't know fully what condition he's in, but he was waving at people through the car window. And one has to ask, what's the key to that guy's longevity? He's 99 years old. Is it the peanuts? Was it all those years eating peanuts? Maybe we all need to start eating some peanuts. Was it living with a moral purpose? One thing he said as he was heading into hospice is that he wants to make sure that he outlives the Guinea worm problem. And that's a problem that he has, and his Carter Foundation has helped tackle since the 1980s. At the time when he started to address this issue, there were 3.5 million cases of this disease in 21 countries. And now this tropical disease is almost eradicated. They're down to about 6 human cases in 2 countries currently. And I think it's important to really understand this, the horror of this disease. It's kind of like there is a worm that implants itself into you through polluted drinking water. The seeds are the water's contaminated by fleas, and then you drink the water and the fleas die in your stomach, and then the infected larvae are liberated, and then these worms begin to form inside of you over a period of months. And it takes like 10 to 14 months for these worms to form inside of you, and then they go to the bottom of your leg and burrow their way out. It sounds very disgusting and fun and painful and scary. It sounds like being invaded by an alien from that Alien movie where it just kind of bursts out of you, your chest, but in this case, it burst out of your leg. So, he really has put a lot of effort into eradicating that disease and doing a lot of other humanitarian efforts. And I think, Jimmy Carter's a guy who you can say, all right, he was an adult in the room. But was he successful as a president? Was he successful in Washington? He only lasted one term. So do we just have a culture? Do we have a political system that doesn't reward being an adult? That's the question we need to ask ourselves currently, because the one person, the one living president that we have who's demonstrated that he can and has been an adult is about to pass. And we're going to be left with a lot of people who have not been adults, right? I mean, Clinton wasn't exactly an adult in the Oval Office when he was smoking his cigars, if you know what I mean.